In this workout, there's going to be a mix of some mobility work initially and then getting into a posture HIIT program, some core work on the floor. It's gonna be great, you're gonna love it. Follow along for when to use your tubing resistance here at the center anchor point. Before we get started, I just want to review how much tension to put on your tube and a couple of pointers to protect your back and your body. So first, using the tubing, when you attach here, you're just going to back up till you start to feel resistance and then take 1 or 2 steps, and that's it. The goal of the tubing is just to provide light resistance. We are training our postural muscles to meet the demand of the day, which is not heavy work. It's just light, holding your body up. So we are training our postural muscles to function in the way we want them to throughout the day. So tubing, follow along throughout. The other pointers that I wanted to give you are, 1, when you are pulling against the resistance, do not lean backwards from the low back. You just want to pull the shoulders back and engage the core. Pull the belly button in nice and tight so that you protect your back. You want to also keep your weight shifted forward towards the front of your feet rather than on the back of your heels. So just take note of that, keep that in mind throughout this workout, and have fun. We are going to start off this workout with stretches to undo all those patterns of tightness that develop with poor posture. We're going to start with a pec stretch. This is targeting a small muscle in your chest. When you're sitting with your shoulders forward, it becomes tight. So we first have to lengthen and stretch it in order to strengthen into that better posture. As you can see in the picture there, it attaches from the ribs to the front of the shoulder and will pull your shoulders forward when it's tight. Let's go ahead and lengthen this muscle. You will notice as I'm stretching, I'm moving my hand up and down the wall. This is a triangular shaped muscle, so the fibers fan out. So by moving into different angles, you will catch different fibers, find the angle that you feel the best stretch, and hold there. Next up is the thoracic extension stretch. The focus here is extending that upper back with poor posture. We tend to develop an increased kyphosis. That's the curve in the upper back. So you should be feeling a good stretch in the upper back here. If this position on the floor is challenging for you, feel free to put your hands up on something elevated like a chair or couch. This next stretch is a hamstring stretch, but here I'm adding a nerve glide, so follow along. When we are tight in the back of the thigh, it's not always from tight muscles. It can be tightness due to inability of your nerves to glide. This translates into poor posture because if you're tight in the back of the leg, you will have to compensate above through the spine. The hip flexors are extremely important to stretch. This is one of the hip flexor muscles, the psoas. As you can see, there are attachments to the spine. To intensify the stretch, reach towards the ceiling and away from the side you are stretching. We are adding in some kickbacks here to activate the glutes and relax the hip flexors. Tightness of these muscles will directly affect your posture. If these muscles are tight, it will pull your low back into an increased curve and you'll have to compensate above. The second hip flexor muscle is the iliacus. Together they form the iliopsoas. This muscle attaches deep in onto the inside of that pelvic bone, so if done properly, this stretch, you will feel it in that area. Enjoy this stretch, it is one of my favorites. This next one is great for general mobility throughout the body. We are working so much here. Take your time with this one. up is down dog calf pedal. You should be feeling this one in the calves, the hamstrings, and by adding that pedal motion, we're getting some nerve mobility as well. This is also a good stretch for the upper back, so try to press your chest forward towards your feet if you can.
I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams.
With this one, you should be feeling a good stretch on the inside of your thigh. To intensify the stretch, lean your trunk towards the side you are stretching.
So give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me. Just watch me.
The last stretch here is the Quadriceps Stretch. You should be feeling a good pull in the front of your thigh. To intensify the stretch, make sure your knees are side by side. Tuck your bottom under and pull your belly button in tight to posterior tilt your pelvis.
You wait to see if it's worth your while. So give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me. Give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind.
We are going to start with a squat to overhead press, gently pulling your shoulders back against the resistance through the entire movement. Here we are starting to build up our postural endurance.
Just watch me.
This lunge open book exercise is great for getting some rotational movement through the spine, opening up the chest, getting a hip flexor stretch in there as well. And then when you stand, draw your shoulders back and stand as tall as you can to correct your posture. Keep going, you're doing great. This is a great exercise for strengthening the muscles in the upper back as well as your glutes or butt muscles. You should be feeling this exercise in those areas. You should not be feeling like you are overarching or overextending your low back. If you are, think about keeping your core nice and tight. Pull your belly button in towards your spine. As we get into more dynamic exercises here, remember to keep your core engaged so that you do not overextend the low back. Gently bring your shoulders back against the resistance, but don't overdo it. You don't want to be excessively squeezing your shoulder blades. You just want to be in a nice neutral position. If you are feeling any of these exercises in your low back, make sure your core is engaged, or you may need to take some steps forward to reduce the resistance on the band. My challenge for you on this exercise is to think about elongating your spine, lengthen that spine, and maintain that through the entire exercise. Squeeze that glute muscle as you kick that leg back. Here, because our trunk is slightly leaning forward, we will not only be drawing the shoulder blades together, but also down the back, which is great for getting the muscles in the neck area to relax.
But they can even touch us. We found a different beat. Paradise is waiting and we bought the lead. Ooh, getting caught in the mist is a minute they never get out of. They're feeding the fears and the doubts. Ooh, but we go and we run to the end and we run without shame. We own the game and we run.
With this exercise, it is easy to overarch your back. Make sure your core is tight on this one. You should be feeling that extension only in the upper back here. This is a great combination of a hip flexor stretch as you go into that posterior lunge and glute strengthening exercise as you stand up tall, really squeeze the glutes. If done properly, this will help with alignment of your pelvis, which is the base for good posture. With this exercise, we are targeting this muscle, the serratus anterior. To target that muscle, think about pushing the floor away from your chest, elbows nice and straight through this entire movement. This muscle is responsible for stabilizing the shoulder blade against the rib cage. We've been working a lot of retraction, pulling the shoulders back up to this point, but we're going to balance that out by strengthening the serratus.
Follow
like this version of the dead bug because it keeps the chest nice and open. Here you should feel your low back contacting the floor. My challenge for you is do not let your low back lift off the floor. This will ensure that you are keeping your core engaged throughout the entire movement. During this cardio burnout, remember all those tips I've given you so far. Pull your shoulders back, core in, stand up tall, elongate the spine. Keep going. You're so close. You're almost there. You're doing amazing. Nice work. You made it to the posture burnout. Here, we are really going to work on the endurance of your postural muscles. This is what's going to make all the difference in conditioning your postural muscles to be able to hold you in better alignment throughout the day. If you think of one cue during these exercises, it is stand tall. Try to reach the ceiling with the top of your head, elongating your spine through all these movements. During this posture hold, keep that core engaged. Use this as an opportunity to train your body. It's easy to overcompensate with the low back, but by keeping the core engaged, you will keep better alignment. Awesome job, you did it. Now for the best part, go ahead and take that AltaBand off. I am still always amazed at how wonderful I feel. Chest open, posture light as a feather when I am finished with one of these workouts. Thank you so much for joining me and enjoy that post AltaBand feeling.